Um, Rod Ashton, it's funny and you brought it up and you said thank you for for giving you guys the blessing you guys with Brian Flores, man.
Yep.
So um it is hilarious because you guys have two wildly different versions of the Brian Flores experience. And Rod, I just want to go ahead and give your explanation of the Brian Flores experience. We've documented it on the pod many times, but again, for the sake of the conversation. So, what was your experience with Brian Flores?
Well, Herbie, my experience with Brian Flores, it was a journey, Herbie. It was a journey. It started off right that Brian Flores was just going to be the typical sacrificial lamb of a black coach, right? That's how it started. You know, he was given a team that had no talent, that had nothing going on. We were losing games like 45-0 early in the season, but he showed his coaching acumen then. Like he had a terrible Dolphin team and had coached up the talent. Ryan Fitz at quarterback. You know what I mean? We even beat the Patriots to end the season. The Chiefs still owe us for that, actually. We were able to, knock the Patriots off the first seed type shit, right? Like he showed promise. And then, the years after that, they draft Tua. That was the tank for Tua year, quote unquote, even though Burrow ended up being the number one pick. But, Herbie, it started off nice. And then, per usual, per Dolphins fashion, it all just starts crumbling as the years go on. And what we come to find out with Brian Flores, Herbie, was that he had a bad relationship with other people who are key figures in the building, right? He didn't get along with the GM, Chris Greer. He was not a fan of Tua, even though he was involved. People say it's rumored that he wanted Herbert and whatnot. In my eyes, maybe they was both wrong, right? But Brian Brian Flores, Herbie, it just got to a point to where shit got a little too toxic, and it just wasn't gonna work, right? Like if you can't get along with your quarterback, you're lambasting the quarterback, you're fighting with the GM. There's a power struggle. Obviously he has the issue with Ross and the whole tampering thing, right? Um, he had too many personal issues in the building, and that ended up ultimately leading to him just having to separate from the team. But I'll never knock him for being a coach because even though our defense was never like top 10 with him, here they had their moments where they looked really good. They had their moments where they could actually stop good teams. Like I saw that, like they were capable of doing that. So I'll never knock Flores the coach, but I'll never knock Flores the defensive mind. But Flores, the head coach, in his first go round, he was just another Belichick guy. He was just another guy who left the Patriots who thought he could swing his dick around and be Belichick Jr. And it might have worked the first couple of years, but Herbie, at the end of the day, when people aren't winning, when people aren't happy, at the end of the day, it only takes so long until everything just falls apart. And for him, it fell apart. It fell apart here in Miami, and that's just ultimately what happened.
So, you got that experience. What was your experience with Ashton? I mean, with Brian Flores, Ashton. Like, cause you are much closer to the team, and I mean like the insider, like the conversations, the morale, how the players feel about him. What version of Brian Flores did the Minnesota Vikings receive?
We got the Brian Flores that I thought could have came out of Miami. We got the Flores that people were defensively people were motivated to play for him. He was he was a player's coach. There was no toxic anything toxic in the locker room. And ultimately, when you come into work, Herb, you know this because we worked at a place like that. When you come into work where the morale is high, you give a little more. And ultimately, that's what I think led to us having a great season this year, uh, minus the ending of it. Um, but he was a player's coach, and our stats shows it. I mean, we didn't do good on the passing, but when we're blitzing with number one blitzing team and we're getting sacks and we're getting turnovers, people love playing for Brian Flores as a coach. I think it'll suck to see him go, but I know he's gonna get all he's gonna have to entertain some type of head coaching if we know the stigma on black coaches and stuff. Um, but uh, ultimately, I would like to see him come back again. I think given the people the off season transactions that we can do with DJ Reed and get some players involved on the defensive end, I think we can come back again. But Brian Flores, uh, I have no. I have the total opposite of what Rod was saying that he got as a head coach in Miami, at the Miami facility. And on top of that, we don't have a what was it, Stephen Ross, is the
Yeah,
owner.
Steve Ross. Yeah.
That guy there,
Yeah.
that guy there. There's only one other owner that's just it's worse, and we know who that is, and his name starts with the J. So
Hey man, shout out to my guy, man. My guy can't stop saying glory hole, man. That's what I got to deal with, man. Shout out, man. Shout out to the boys, man. We the boys, man. All right, I was gonna go ahead and close a loop with the Caleb talk, but that's we got plenty of time to do that. So let me go ahead and highlight some of these comments, man. Shout out to True Blazer. I apologize. This was 20 minutes ago, man. I'm good if they move Reek. That's to close that loop. My boy John said Stephon Matt was it mad we didn't win. He was mad he didn't get the ball. Okay, so you want that, but with a turbo booster on his up his ass. So you getting the same person,
yeah,
the
you
same
getting that.
guy. You're getting the same guy. The shout out to Dom. Caleb will forever get the comparison to Jada Daniels, and that does not bode well for a grade because it's not like Daniels went to a Hallmark franchise. And matter of fact, let me actually, because that is actually a very interesting point. So let me go ahead and get back to the Caleb point, and we'll move on and get to closing the show. This is eerily similar to what happened with RG3 and Andrew Luck, right? RG3 had one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. And I don't think this is going to happen to Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be consistent, and this is what we're going to go going forward. But we can't base these things off of one season because Andrew Luck ultimately ended up being the better quarterback, even though RG3 had the better year, the better rookie season. Now, injuries happen and whatnot, but Andrew Luck was the right pick. I think that would have bowled itself out throughout. Now, the best quarterback of that draft, ironically, was Russell Wilson. A lot of people don't even remember that he was in the same draft as them.
Right.
But again, you got to play these things out. With Caleb, though, I no man, you don't get to be called the greatest quarterback prospect of all time and do what you did, bro. It looks good on paper. 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. It looks really good. I think he had 3,500 yards. It looks really good. But you, Ashton, you watched closely. There are
Yeah,
times in a lot of games where it's like, dog, you don't look like you have any business being out there right now,
yeah, yeah,
right? And you can't be somebody who is considered the greatest quarterback prospect since Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning got drafted in '98, I think. Yeah, '98 because Randy Moss was the same. It was in the same Heisman class. But no, man,
yeah.
no.
I,
Like
I didn't understand the hype. I didn't understand the hype.
me neither. And me and Rod, we have our bona fide. We say this all the time. I have the visual proof. I was arguing with people. I was arguing with professional scouts on Twitter. I will never call it X on Twitter about Caleb Williams, and I said it. I acknowledge the talent. The talent is undeniable. Nobody's going to argue that. But there were too many times I personally saw on film at USC where there's somebody in his face and he doesn't throw the ball to them.
Yeah,
And you could do that in college. That's fine because you could talent your way out of a lot of situations. You can't do that shit in the NFL. If you got a fucking, if you got a check down, throw the check down. He got sacked 63 times. You're not going to tell me all 63 because of the O line. It ain't happening. That's impossible. That is David Carr numbers, dog.
yeah,
Like, that's David Carr numbers. And we seen what happened to David Carr. David Carr was ruined. He never came. And I don't think that's going to happen with Caleb, but that's neither here nor there.